morning, everybody. I'm Kathy Burns, and I'm here today with Karen Mancuso. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Good morning, Kathy.
And she is with Mancuso Construction and Design. That's a tongue twister. And I think it's pretty exciting to talk to Karen, who is in this unusual field for a woman. So you want to give us a little background about being a woman and, you know, the design part and all of that?
Absolutely. Well, I am a GC. I've been a GC for going on 12 years now.
General contractor.
General contractor. And it was a natural transition because I've always been in the construction and design world. I've got an experience of about 33 years now in both fields. So it was a transgression or a transition from that to become a GC, and I did it basically to get more control of my projects.
Sure.
To get a handle on everything from start to finish.
So when you say design, is that decorator? Tell us more about that.
No, so basically my degree is in interior design, but I specialized in structure. So actual spatial layouts, you know, that comes into play when I'm designing a building, for instance, or helping someone flow, you know, where the room lays out, taking walls down, functionality, all of that kind of stuff. So more on that end, and then materials. So the actual raw materials that go into the building process, as opposed to decorating, meaning the pretty stuff.
Right, right. The important stuff.
The important stuff.
It's basically the base that's so critical. You know, you'll see homes that don't function properly.
Right.
And yet they've added on, or haven't even added on, they want to add on, and where you can come into play is kind of seeing that vision of what will make sense. Because I'm sure that sometimes a homeowner will say, well, I have this vision, but the vision may or may not work, or could work better, right? And that's where you come in?
That's right.
So what about permitting, Karen? I know that a lot of people not go that path.
So permitting is a scary thing for people, and the truth is it's really designed to protect the homeowner as well as the GC. And the reason is that it's a check and balance system that's set up by the county, each county. So whatever the project is permitted in, that county has it on record, so to speak, because it goes into the actual county records. And then inspectors are assigned to that project. So they're checking at every level from the beginning to the completion to make sure that not only was it done properly, but in fact that it's basically completed.
Right.
And that can be really critical, especially if someone goes to sell their home.
Yes, it is.
Because if the new potential homeowner finds out there was a renovation done and just wants to do their homework and the thing was not permitted, that can cause a lot of problems for the homeowner.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, and it's one of the questions on the property disclosure. So, did you do any renovations? They're trying to avoid not only the permitting fees, but the increase in tax. They just don't see the consequences of their actions. So, that's a must for you, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. And the only time there's an exception is by law. North Carolina law says that anything under $5,000, with the exception of if it has structural, electrical, plumbing, or mechanical work. If it has none of those and under 5,000, by law you do not have to permit.
Okay, well that's good to know. So what do you think sets you apart from everybody else?
I think possibly because I am female, which is kind of different, you know, in this field. I would also say that attention to detail. I take extreme measures from the very beginning, being very specific of every tiny little detail down to the doorknob, literally. And I also think that because I have that design background, it puts me in a little different, gives the client a little more added value.
I agree.
To what I do. And at the end of the day, we're people with integrity, and we come back and if anything needs to be adjusted or whatever, we're there. We're not going anywhere. So.
Well, I know that you did a project for clients of mine. They bought a little cottage in Denver that was just a gorgeous lot. And they had a big vision, which they changed a lot. And you did a magnificent job with that property. And I don't know what the value changed from. I know they paid $600 for the house, but through the design process to really take advantage of the light and the water and how they wanted to be able to view that water, you did a marvelous project with that. And they were very happy.
Thank you.
So what kind of projects like that do you do, from bathrooms?
Well, and that's a great example. That started out to be a large renovation, which basically ended up being almost a new build for many reasons.
Right.
But that's definitely something that we do. But we start all the way from literally a closet, which I've done that. I've done a conversion from a closet to a bathroom and the other.
Yes.
Kitchens and baths are very common for us. We are
Sure.
doing a lot of outdoor, big McDaddy outdoor covered porches.
Really?
You know, with kitchens on one side,
Sure.
fireplaces on the other, and all kinds of lighting and sound systems, et cetera, et cetera. So
Great.
do just about anything.
Well, that's great. What would you say is, oh, budget. I want to
Yes.
touch on budget and then,
Yes. So it is so scary, I think, for clients to reveal a budget. And I think the assumption is that if they reveal a number, that the contractor might just run with that whole number and whether the project
Right.
costs that or not.
that's a good point.
But the way I try to explain it to people is it's kind of like putting if I have no number to work with, then it's like putting a blindfold on me and telling me to shoot at a target. I've done this long enough to get a pretty good range of where a project is based on enough preliminary information from a client. And so I take that and based on what they tell me, I can tell them usually pretty quickly, you're somewhere around there, or you know, we need to adjust a few things to get anywhere near that number.
Okay.
So it saves the client time, and
Right.
it saves me time as well.
Right.
Instead of just running around needlessly if it's not even reasonable.
Right, which makes sense.
Yes.
It's just smart to have a plan.
Sure.
Smart to have a
Absolutely.
plan and know what you're doing.
Right.
So I know an ideal client is a realtor like myself. Who else would be a good client for you?
Anybody that is in and around a home situation. So
Mhm.
it could be handymen, it
Mhm.
could be decorators, designers, certainly are great referrals.
Sure.
Mortgage brokers.
Yes.
Pretty much anybody that's also community groups. So homeowner type groups,
Mhm.
homeowner association type groups. I
Mhm.
know that I've gotten plugged in on several neighborhoods once you start a project and they are communicating on their
Yes.
Facebook pages or websites,
Yes.
then that kind of spreads out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those people are really good for me as well.
Well, I highly recommend her. I've seen her work. It's stunning, and attention to detail is something that she really does, and care. I think maybe having a woman who's just focused on really making sure that project is done right. Also, her own reputation and integrity is a big piece of that, and you can really count on Karen. I highly recommend her. So we want to thank you today for sharing your information with us. And I encourage you guys to save this, share it, comment below. We appreciate all that. And if you've got any kind of renovation project, at least give Karen a call and let her be interviewed and see what sets her apart yourself.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.
You for the opportunity.
It's great. Great to have you. Thanks.
Thank you.